Your imagination quite literally creates your reality. I'm going to share how my imagination created the house that I live in, as well as the revenue that I make. And I think I've shared this on TikTok. Maybe I might have shared it on YouTube, but if I did, you know, it's always nice hearing the story twice because it kind of gives faith to and evidence to the fact that this is real. And I literally mean your imagination, how you imagine things, create your reality. I used to live in Southern California, and I had always dreamt of moving to a more rural area. Didn't know where. Was thinking Idaho. Was thinking a variety of places. And I, I just, for whatever reason, had this burning desire to make that happen. And the the fact though was I was underwater on my house. All the places that were relatively close by just weren't within the price range that I was looking for. And there were so many insurmountable problems. It just wasn't going to happen. Especially I wanted the house to be big. I wanted it to be, 300, 400, or sorry, 3,000, 4,000 square feet, something like that. The house that I was in was, prior to that, was small. And I was in an office that I had in the back, one of the back rooms. Had hardwood floors. It might have been like laminate or something like that. I don't quite remember, but had hardwood floors. I had a standing desk, and that's where I did a lot of my business. Well, the, the there were so many mountains that were pretty much, it just wasn't going to happen. We would go and look at these houses in Awanga and Anza and Idaho, and they were either out of our price range or way too far from family, and it just wasn't good. Some of the houses were amazing, but just the situation wasn't good. And then, being already underwater, I would have to pay to get out of my current house, right? Or am I going to rent it? What there wasn't a lot of options. And so I remember laying down on my hardwood floor, and I would think of two things. I would imagine I wouldn't imagine myself, I wouldn't see myself on the floor or in these places. I wouldn't see myself in these places. I would feel what it was like to be in the place that I wanted to be in. I felt what it was like to have the money that I wanted, right? And so I'm laying there, and the I would envision this house that was on a hill. It was like a little bit on a hill, not like a huge hill, but you had to kind of just walk up. It's like a little ramp of a hill going up to the house. And to the right was this pond, and to the left was kind of like a clubhouse or like a secondary home. And I would imagine walking kind of the path and going to the right of the path and left of the path and feeling the grass and putting my hands in the pond and all these things that would kind of bring me into that scene, bring me into the feeling of that scene. And how would I feel now that I have this or that I'm here, right? I never went into the house though. That's the thing, is I never really went into the house. I maybe went into the side house, the secondary house, but I never went into the house. That was the interesting thing about it. But, and that'll play into this later. So I'm feeling that scene, and then I would go and I would feel what it was like to go to my computer, open up my payment processor, and seeing what my goal was per month, which at the time seemed insurmountable. It was it it was a lot. Let's just put it that way. Definitely, definitely a something I was not making at the time. And so I would feel what it was like. I would go and feel what it was like to go to my computer, log in. What the feeling of looking at it, going, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that! I can't believe I have that! Wow, that is amazing! This is, God's so good. This is so awesome!" And being thankful for it, and being so in gratitude for it. I want to say about 2 years later, 2 or 3 years later, I'm looking at houses up in Central California. And all of the houses I'm looking at, they weren't the thing. And some of them were in the price range, but they just weren't what was going to, it just didn't feel right, right? And my aunt's a realtor, and she's the one that was taking us around. And so she's taking us around, and all of a sudden she gets a call from another realtor. The realtor says, "Hey, I have this home. They're really, really ready to sell. They need to. The guy got a job at Seaside, and he has to get out as fast as possible. And they're looking at this." And she gave the price range. And my aunt's like, "Oh no, sorry, they're not looking for that. They're actually looking for about $50,000 less." And the realtor says on the phone, "Let me call you back." So she calls back and says they'll take it. If they want to come and look, they'll take 50,000 less. So we go and look, and this house was perfect. It was big, 20 acres, and was in the perfect spot. Everything about it was absolutely perfect. And on the spot, we put an offer, and the rest is history. The thing was that the house was not on this hill. The house didn't have a secondary house, didn't have anything that I had visualized. About 3 years later, we met at church this lady named Nanny Kate. And she invited us over to her house. And we drive through, and it was beautiful. The whole landscape that they had is beautiful. Mind you, where right outside the house is all brown and dry and nasty, but you go through the gates and it's green and lush and everything. They had done such a good job with their land. And we start driving up, and as we're driving up to the house, we're on the path, and up on the hill is her house. To the left is this secondary house, and to the right is a pond. The exact scene that I had in my mind, that I thought about over and over again. Probably, I would say, like 2 or 3 times. The exact scene. And I was blown away. Well, about 2 years after that, I'm looking at my payment processor. You know, the vid came around. Let's say the COVID stuff came around, and my business exploded. And I look at my payment processor, and the exact amount that I had visualized and thought of and felt into in the exact scene played out exactly. Per month. Which got me into the Inc. 5000 and got me into the Veterans 100 and all this other stuff. It's pretty freaking crazy that both scenes are what I imagined. And those aren't the only times that's ever happened. It's happened over and over and over again. You have that same power. You have that same imaginative power. What you imagine from, if you listen to people like Neville Goddard, who really is like the godfather of that whole concept. If you listen to people like Neville Goddard, there is a power that we all have that's gone to that hasn't been used as nearly as it should, but there's a power that we all have that allows us to create. We are creator beings, and it's through our imagination that our reality, our 3D reality, comes true. Good or bad, it'll come true. You always, you want to do good things. You want to imagine good things. But you have that power, whether it's good or bad, to create these future events based off of your imagination. And so what you assume, what you think, if you constantly think and assume that you are poor, you are ugly, you are creepy, you are awkward, you are weak, you are scared, you are fearful, you are whatever you assume comes to pass. That's why it's so important to change how you think, how you talk, to change how you imagine your future, how you imagine your family's future, how you where you see yourself in the future. It's so important to, when you're going to bed, especially when you're going to bed, it's where your subconscious and conscious meet, to imagine good things, to imagine abundance, to imagine love, to imagine gratitude. To imagine gratitude, to imagine things that are lovely, things that are beautiful, things that you want to experience. If you constantly go to bed angry at people, constantly go to bed thinking of that YouTuber that you watched, and he has all this, he says he has all this money, or and you're thinking about how much of a poser he is, or how much of, you are going to create a reality of nastiness. If you think of, if you're envious of your neighbor, if you're angry at your wife, or if you're angry at your husband, or you're angry at your girlfriend, you're angry at your boyfriend, or you have a boss that sucks, rather than dwell on that, imagine what it's like if your boss or whomever praised you every day. What it would feel like if he praised you every day. And you will see over time that will happen. You sleep on that, it will start to happen. It might happen the next day. It might happen in a week. I've imagined getting free cups of coffee just to test this before, and it didn't happen in a week. I imagined it like 3 times, and I thought it was going to happen that week. It ended up happening like a month later, and it was like, boom, free coffee, boom, free coffee, boom, free coffee from different places that I went to. You never know when it's going to happen, but you're planting these seeds, that these seeds will grow. These seeds will blossom and grow into something. Whether it's bad seed or good seed, it does not matter. It will grow. You don't know when. Some seeds take a week. Some seeds take 3 months. Some seeds, like babies, take 9 months. Elephants take longer. You never ever know when it's going to grow, because each seed is different. But you're planting these seeds all the time. And you plant them, you forget about them, and they will come to pass. You plant them, you forget, you feel what it's like. You feel what it is like from that future perspective. You feel what it's like from that future perspective. I had somebody that I did not want to have any contact with because they kept on bugging me all the time. I felt what it was like for them to skedaddle out of my life. And it happened. It actually happened. That one happened within like a week. There are so many examples of that happening. But you think from the end, you assume what you are, and you will become that. You assume that you're fit and you have a six-pack abs, and that's you start feeling from that. Eventually your body will help you to get there. Your mind will help you to get there. Your habits will help you to get there. Things, you might meet a personal trainer. You don't know how it's going to happen, but it will happen. I didn't know how I was going to make the money that I make every month now, but it happens. I've even had it to where I started getting fearful of how much of losing money. And guess what happened? I started thinking about it nonstop every night. My subconscious was like, "Oh, is that what you want?" And I started losing money, and I'm like, "Oh crap! I need to have better thoughts." It's real. It happens. The more that you think good things, the more that you think pleasant things, the more that you think about things that are going to get you to your goals, to your dreams, your desires, and then just let them go. They will happen. They will happen. All right, well, start now. What do you want to do? It's New Year's. My New Year's resolution, it's going to be a challenge, is no music, no podcasts, no like learning about new things. Literally for me, I can only listen to Neville Goddard stuff, and I can only listen to things that are what's called law of assumption. That's it. Not law of attraction, law of assumption. And there's a lot of things on that. So if you just kind of stick to Neville Goddard, that's what it is. And I can only do that 1 hour. The rest can either be subliminal audios, or nothing, and just let my imagination run wild for a year, this entire year. And when I'm working out, like I worked out today, I had subliminals on the entire time. And it was very odd, but it worked. And that's what we're doing. So what are you going to do this year? Biggest thing is start thinking better thoughts. Start thinking from the end. Start thinking how amazing you are, how amazing your life can be. And from the end, what it would be like. So if you live a crappier life right now, start thinking about what it would be like. 2024, the year of better thoughts and imagination.